You're listening to the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast, the podcast that keeps your practice sharp and your clients happy. I'm your host, immigration lawyer John Khosravi, and every week we're bringing you insights, tips, and real world conversations with top immigration attorneys and industry leaders. Whether you're here to grow your practice, stay on top of the latest trends, or get inspired, you're in the right place. Ready? Let's go. Hello, fellow Toolboxers. Today I have a great interview for episode number 401 with our colleague Ruby Powers, a regular guest we're doing monthly. She has her own Ruby Powers strategy group helping advise immigration lawyers and law firms on practice management tips, marketing, conferences, seminars she puts up, retreats. It's a fantastic system she set up. So it really matches what we do here to share knowledge and information, which are one of our main goals. So before we start with the wonderful interview, a lot of tips and stuff I think would be really helpful for expanding your operations and getting better at what you do. I remind you, one place to go is our community page on circle.so. If you're a U.S. lawyer barred, you could join free. And you don't have to be an immigration lawyer per se, but if you want to think about getting immigration self, or if you're already an immigration attorney, there we have tons of content, white labeled marketing stuff, white labeled where you can put your own logo, handouts to clients, AO decision synopsis. We use AI that does analysis and breaks down EB1A, NIW cases, L1s, so you can study those and get better at what you do there. Hours and hours of free continuing education content and premium courses. The new ones are EB1A, Extraordinary Ability, which a lot of people want to get into, and E2 investors as well. Small time investors, less than 100,000, doing change of status or constant processing. Break it down with samples of how everything's done so you're very comfortable with it to get a start in your practice. Initial investment in the course will pay off fourfold or maybe tenfold in just the first case that you do. It's probably more like tenfold. So I shouldn't say fourfold, but it's tenfold. That means that's a huge return on investment, no brainer to do. Plus, it comes with mentorship, office hours. You can ask me questions about everything. Having said all that, if you're interested, email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. That's info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. And give me your full name and bar information, state and number, so I can check your background. Make sure you're a lawyer. We have practicing lawyers join the course only in the community. Having said all that, thank you so much for joining. And none of the information provided here is intended as individual legal guidance. Please consult with an immigration attorney about your case, but you all know that already. Let's get the show started. Hi, Ruby. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, thanks, John. Always a pleasure.
Same here. So, we talk a lot, so I kind of lose track of what we talked about on the shows in the past and here, but we'll kind of do it. Uh, First and foremost, how's the book going? The
Oh,
promotions and everything.
it's going well. I'm going into the fall, lots of conferences with Ayla and some different other trade or tech conferences and things like that. So I'm going to be out there, and I bring a couple copies with me. I actually saw a former student at the Advanced Family Conference at the Texas State Bar last week, and I just felt like moved to give her a copy, and so it's good. It's going well, and Ayla bought a bunch more for the distribution deal. So just recently, and yeah, thanks for asking. It's going
You
well,
got
and
it.
class starts next week for the for my law practice management class as well. So
Oh,
we'll be
you have a
using it as a
class?
text.
How is the class? Is
Yeah.
it at a university or is it an online class? How does it?
Well, the one I'm talking about is the South Texas College of Law, Houston. It's a law class on law. It's called Law Office Management, and we use the textbook, my book, as the textbook, and so
Oh,
pretty much
nice.
just cover the 25 chapters in 14 weeks of 2 hours a week. So that's 28 hours of instruction. But yeah, and then I've got online courses coming out soon. I just need to record them.
I know how that goes. So I'm gonna name some stuff off really quick. I mean, if you have some stuff you want to throw in there, please do.
Yeah.
I haven't this particular one I haven't shared with you, but there's a scenario popping up with all the interviews that are happening for adjustment cases, for citizenship, for naturalization, and for primarily for adjustment for green cards, where people would just call me up and want me to come to the interviews. And our office policy generally is not to accept going to an interview at this point if the people did a
Mhm.
pro se. Maybe if they had an attorney, we'll do it. Or if that attorney reaches out, we know like a colleague of ours is like another city and they want us to go locally, we'll do it. But I've been burned before going to pro se cases where people don't handle it well and it just makes you look bad. Or like there's what was really bad is didn't happen to us, but my associate was in some Facebook forum for a foreign language group, and this person started bad mouthing one lawyer, and she knew him, and he responded there, and she talked with them. He's like, yeah, this person just hired me to come for the interview, and I told him what the issues were, but I'm like, I'll come there to support you, but it didn't work out. And he's bad mouthing me, say I ruined this case, and it was like I wasn't even the lawyer on the case. So it's like that potential of that happening is like, is it worth going to pro se
Oh.
or not? What is your policy on just someone calls you up, just go to the interview?
Well, I hadn't thought of it in like that sort of quasi worst case scenario. I found that it's becoming very common now. I was just telling my team, I was like, under Biden, pretty much we didn't have enough attorneys to go run around to all these interviews, and we were sort of fine with just prepping the clients and them going on their own. So we really weren't asked for other people's or pro se
Hmm.
applicants that often. But now I've been pretty okay with pro se, or yeah, I agree with you. Like there's a lot of attorneys that are reaching out to us from around the country because we're only like 15 minutes to the Houston Asylum office and the USCIS office. But in terms of pro se, we'll want to have a consult as soon as possible. Have a copy of the application to skim over it. I mean, we it can be a lot of work, especially asylum's a lot of work
Yeah.
because usually you're talking about like updating a 9-year-old case usually. So we'll have a fee for update, we'll have a fee for prep and a fee for attendance. And I really don't like not helping update the case because I feel like I'm putting my name out there when we prep and attend. But we haven't had a problem so far. But I could see where the scope is really important, and it could go wrong, even though it was something they teed up with making mistakes in the past that comes to us looking like we're the bad guys, even though we have no control over that. But I think if they get a hold of us early, we have a complete copy of the application, and they're hiring us for to really just take over as much as
Yeah.
possible. I think it can go well. I haven't really been shying away, but if it's too little time to do a good job, then we're
Mhm.
like, no, unless you pay a huge rush fee for us to take this case over other people.
Well, you said it right there too. If they have a copy of the file, which is another problem, people don't keep copies of it, so you have no idea what's in there. And FOIAing it. I mean, now online they may be there for a case, or especially for
Yeah.
USCIS, but
Right.
sometimes there's not. The online system is pretty inconsistent. Sometimes there's not even receipts up there. I had one case where an applicant called me and she was very sweet. So I took it on and we did a practice session. And I was like, okay, your taxes have
Uh-huh.
issue here, fix this. Like, okay, we'll do everything. Day of the interview comes, didn't fix the taxes. And it's almost as if we did no preparation. And she did okay. The husband just bombed it completely, turned into a Stokes interview
Oh, wow.
immediately. And what I thought was going to be like a 1 hour thing was like half a day, if not more. And then, notice attendant denies come and then follow up. I'm like, oh man, this just blew up in my face right here. So you got to be strict about the
Yeah.
costs and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and we've raised our prices because we realize that it can take more time or
Yeah.
put more effort into it. Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be careful about your boundaries and your scope and manage those expectations. But we now have like three, I guess you could say maybe four attorneys that can be running around to interviews. And so it's pretty common that we've got one. There was one day I think we had three in one day, which is a lot for the size of my firm.
Mhm.
Like three interviews, and so each attorney went to a different one.
Yeah, I have one book, two at the same time, and so in LA, it's really hard to get a hold of somebody there, try to fix it. But I'm gonna try to find somebody at USCI and say, hey, could you push one of them 2 hours later to give us time? I did have one
Mhm.
interview, went for adjustment case, and we waited for like 2 hours, 2, 3 hours. But once we got in, the officer was like, yeah, this is good. And they approved it in 5 minutes. And the client was nice, but he's like, oh, I got a sense. He's like, I paid you all this money just to come for 5 minutes. I'm like, you never know what's USCIS, what card they're
Yeah.
going to deal with.
But, I think also I said this to my team today. I was like, it's really dangerous to go pro se now because we can prep them and everything, but they could just say the darndest things. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes officers sort of feel there's a little bit more leeway when there's no attorney, I don't know, in the room. And,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell them. You have a witness in the room and someone who could, be the bad guy if you need to ask questions. Because somebody's obviously annoyed if you ask questions,
Right.
somebody don't. But it's me and not the client. And clients sometimes say the darndest things. Like they'll go there nervous. Like I had one client who was just shaking. I like put my arm in his back. I'm like, it's okay. Like calm down. He just asked you for a marriage certificate. He was so nervous. So I'm like, it's better I be there just to help
Yeah.
calm people down.
Yeah, like one time I told the client, I was like, the one thing that you probably shouldn't say is XYZ. And we get an interview and he's like, XYZ. And I'm just like, ah, what? He was so nervous. It got approved, but it was just, it was stressful for me.
Now, a completely different thing is, we had some plumbing issues at the
Uh,
house, and I had like 4 plumbers come check it out to just price it out, see who says different stuff. And we had one guy, everyone was saying like $1,000. This guy said 300. I was like, okay, email me. Here's my email address, and we'll do it. And I wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I don't get the email. And I'm like, you know what? Forget about it. I'll just go with this other person. And then I was like, checking my emails. I realized it went to my spam folder. And I'm like, oh man,
oh,
I just sent an extra $700 when I didn't need
uh,
to. And I realized, like, I have
uh,
clients sometimes we'll do consultation follow-ups and we don't hear from them. And they're like, oh, we didn't get the email. Or one thing I said is when we send out, like, someone contacts us, when we send like a response, here's how to schedule a consult, we have a follow-up that goes, one is we text them at the same time when that goes out in our system. And then 3 days later, there's a follow-up that says, hey, by the way, did you respond? And a lot of times, I would say maybe like 20% of the time, people reply to that saying I didn't get the first email. So
mm,
now I have that reminder. I send a text and a follow up email for initial lead. But when I send the consultation follow up email with the price and like get started, I set up now a text that goes out with that plus a reminder for that too. Because after this experience, I'm like, oh, I need to make sure I capture because I was texting with that plumber and calling them, but he should have texted me and say, hey, did you get my breakdown of costs and stuff? I wish he had done that because then I
yeah.
would have hired him for sure.
That's a really good point, and especially in the initial phase, you might not have they might because like spam a lot of times it's because you don't have like you haven't established that you have
Hmm.
normal communication with that person. That initial contact might be get stuck in the spam, or like I get all these calls like potential spam. I'm not picking that up.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. And I think a lot of people don't pick up if they don't know who it is. But anyway, yeah, I think that's a really good reminder on the law practice management side. Like, test the product, and that's what I love when I go out in the wild. I like to call it like just living life. With your plumber example, it just helps you be a better law firm owner because then you're like, wait, how hard is it for someone to call me or to hire me or to follow
Yeah.
up? And like, do they get that? And, do we actually pick up the old school phone just in case? But even though I don't know if people actually pick up the phone if they don't know the number, but but still like in between the texts, the
Yeah.
calls, the emails, like make that contact and reduce the friction.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So when yeah, make it easy, but then sometimes we'll add some friction in there just to get rid of some of the people who are like wasting time or just kicking tires. But yeah, so far I try to pay attention. I fail at it, but just even when I'm giving the car to valet, the interaction, how they put their prices, or sometimes like do they accept credit cards or not? Like I was at this valet the other day, and the restaurant I go to, they have a system where on your card will be a barcode where you can just go online and pay it. But I scanned the barcode this time and it said
Mm.
system's down. And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't have any cash."
Uh,
And I went to the stand and it didn't have any information on there. So, like, I was like, "Oh, no, I gotta." Then it took a while for the guy to come. And eventually he's like, "No, we accept credit cards. It's all good." But it's like, just maybe say you accept credit cards or say this, even things that you like assume will be there. It'll help people make better decisions. As I'm saying this, I'm like, I need to write this down. Actually, do I didn't think about that example. Add credit card.
Well, it's sort of like being a ghost shopper or something. Like, have you ever had a friend or someone just call your firm or try to have a consult or hire and like see how it works?
Yeah.
Like we just discovered something going on with our phone systems and our CRM recently, and so we've been cleaning out that process the last 2 weeks like diligently. But when you hear people say we can't get through to you, I'm like, oh gosh, that like it's a it's a deep in your gut, like what's wrong, and like we figured it out. It was a series of unfortunate events apparently, but you're here running the show, doing things, and then you're like people can't get
Yeah.
through, and you're like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's good to do like tests every once in a while. Like even my office manager today, she's like, I'm testing the calls in the daytime. I'm testing the calls at night because we have like two live full-time people and then we have the reception service on top of that whenever there's like a spike or they're at lunch or someone's sick or something like that. So and then we also added a bot to the website and we also have like bought on their social media that we added recently. So like I'm like, there's got to be a way to get it through to us,
Yeah.
like, and you can schedule online too. Like you can
Well, I'm going to talk about
schedule a consultation
those 2
online
points
through their
actually, but
website.
really quick. So, when it comes to the secret shopper, I had a plan for the toolbox a couple years back to say, hey, like, we'll call your law firm to see how the interaction was and gain knowledge from that. But I never got around to it. But if maybe if there's enough people who call the firm and see how hard it is if I email them what the response is, because just to fine tune the not only the phone response, if somebody emails you, like, how do you respond where
Mm,
it's like kind, good words, easy to understand what the next steps are, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole science to testing that out, the automated response, whatever. But Jim Guy, that'd be a good thing. Maybe even like just doing other famous law firms to see how they respond to us, so you get to take their information as a sample.
yeah. Don't call my law firm for like another week. We're still cleaning up.
Well, now you mentioned you have a
No,
bot.
I mean, like, we're gonna do the shopper part, that actually reminds me of I think it was like a Clio Legal Trends report, and they were talking about like we called this many law firms, and we couldn't get through to this many, and we had to leave a voicemail. I remember I don't know what year it
I
was, but I
remember that.
remember reading
Yeah,
one of those. Yeah, and you're just like, wow, it's hard. But I tried to hire a law firm earlier this year, and I had a similar situation where I got a runaround on trying to get through to the calls, and so that just I really it's still true in
mhm.
2025 that things can happen like that.
You think these are
Yeah.
easy, but having a system to connect people is hard, especially as you scale and there's different people, different systems, and things break, and it's just like yeah, it's hard. It's just like a thing you wouldn't expect if you're gonna run your own law firm. That even if you work at a law firm, it's just you got to spend hours on this stuff on a consistent basis. Like on our website, we have a contact us page, but somehow WordPress, like every couple months, does an update of some kind, and it sometimes shuts down the contact us page where it doesn't work. And I once learned because people start calling that the office saying, "Hey, your contact us doesn't work." Luckily, my brother-in-law is like a computer expert. He'll do
Mhm,
that for me for free. He'll jump on it and fix it. But now every time I get that update, I immediately stop
mm.
everything. I go and test it out, make sure our contact us page works, and then change that up. But if yeah, people like we called and complained about it. But it's just so many things could go wrong. It's like a living being essentially. You always have to manage it.
That's so true because it could just be one little change that one of the
Mhm.
programs you're paying for changes, or it could be somebody not doing their job internally, or like a combination of a
Yeah.
series of unfortunate events, like what I described the situation. But you pretty much have to be testing it on a
Yeah.
regular basis, and just having ownership. Like your job is to make sure this works. Your job is to make sure this works, and I'm going to hold you accountable for it.
I mean, it could be a side business. Like
Uh,
law firms pay, $100 a month, and this one company just calls and tests out your systems randomly to see how it's operating and does a report for you. It can be, hey, everybody, I'm going to jump in really quick to remind you about our community page where you can get premium courses for EB1A, extraordinary ability, grow and expand your practice. One small investment could pay tenfold, just the first case, and thousandfold in a career of getting E2 and EB1A under your belt. We have training on that ready for you with samples along with other stuff, constant processing, marriage green cards, white labeled content, free CLEs, 245. You're looking for that 245I. You're trying to figure out non-immigrant visa waivers, Haranka waivers, free courses on all this and much more coming. All you got to do is join the community. U.S. immigration lawyers only. It's free for the bulk of it, not the premium course, but you'll. But having said that, just email me info at immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Send me your full name, bar info, and we'll take it from there.
Or it could be like a consulting firm
Yeah.
could just audit your.
Yeah.
I mean, I know firms or businesses do that. I mean, we could add that to a service or something like that. But just to go in and audit and give you a heads up of like how do you pass the test or
Yeah.
not? Like how easy is it to hire
For
you?
sure. Now you mentioned you have so you're
Yeah,
hiring. You got a bot on the website and social media. How did you how
yeah.
did you go through that process of choosing it? As I've debated having a bot, but like I don't know how to do it per se, and I'm not sure if it's going to answer well, and it seemed too complicated. But I see some firms that do a lot of volume and stuff. They have the bot, so it makes sense to have it. It seems like it's like they're keeping it. What has your experience been with it?
Well, when I was talking to Arvin Signs at the ALA conference, where I
Yeah.
saw you at the ALA conference, he's using a bot they have called Crisp. And so we just started using, I think yesterday. But it's not just for like I originally was going to use it for our social media so that when I go like live or something like that, or when, to respond back to messages and things like that. But they also have one where you can put on the website as well. So I had been looking for a similar company to do that, but I was just sort of waiting along to get all my CRM and my case management and all that. I didn't want to add
Yeah.
new tech, and I didn't want to make sure it was all going to work, connect with each other. But I decided to, yeah, I basically, we just started it just in the last couple days, and I'm looking forward to going like live pretty soon and see how it works on the social media side
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
I've been seeing you on my TikTok live recently. You come up a lot. So you've been going.
Really.
Does the bot work with TikTok?
Yeah, it works on TikTok. That's one of the ones I'm on more than other social media. So that's where I wanted it. Because I wanted to like respond to the inquiries. Because what we had before was we just had this auto response like, thank you for contacting
Yeah.
Power Group. You can reach us at whatever phone number. And it was just like, blah, and nobody would respond to that really. But the bot is can communicate with them and continue the conversation and respond in real time and try to convince them to give them the information, reduce the
Mhm.
friction to give them that information, either getting their number to for a live caller or just like direct them closer to that responding to the on the website where they could schedule
Now, is
directly.
this the
I mean, it just started like
yeah?
yesterday, so I think on the website, and today I was planning to go live, so I
Please
can
do.
report back next time to see
Now,
how
is this
it's
something
working.
Arvin made himself? Because I remember he had a tech co-founder who was helping him. Is that through his own system or is this a third party system?
Um, Together it was, yeah, wait
Yeah,
things out,
I have his
and,
card right here.
Arvin
I'm
and
like sending
Gabriel.
it. I wanted to contact him. Yeah.
Right, right. We have the next reason, and then that's like they created the crisp underneath that as one of their programs. So I'm like basically demoing it out to see how it worked because Arvin was basically built it for Arvin's firm, and then now I'm trying it out. So, but I that's when you talked to me, it showed me like he went live and he got all these like he was able to convert with the
Yeah.
bot a whole bunch of consults because it was reacting in real time that communication 'cause and that's what sold me on that. I was like, "Okay, let's let's try it," because right now I don't think we're responding. Like I have one assistant that's supposed to respond to all of the
Hmm.
comments, and I just I think I would do more lives and simultaneously with the StreamYard if I knew that we were able to convert
Yeah.
those contacts, and all that work. And so it's sort of like the chicken and the egg. Like you need to build the system, but then you also need to test out these things. And then like we record and do a lot of content, but then you need to be able to respond and convert those into leads. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
It's Arvin.
Which you know.
I mean, you introduced him. He's a listener as well. He'll probably hear this, but on his TikTok, I'm looking at it right now. He has. I mean, he got a. I'm not sure what the voiceovers. Let me turn it on. I'm looking at the one page. This one only says he has 45 followers. So that can't be right. But he had
No, people pretending to be him
yeah,
that are not him. Yeah. He's got a lot of followers on his
he's
real
massive.
account.
Yeah,
And actually, that's another thing I want to say. If anybody's listening from the marketing perspective, I have my IP attorney go after all the fakes because there's a lot of fakes, especially it hit me on TikTok, where they would put
yeah.
another phone number and they would use my photo. And I think we should, as attorneys, try really hard to fight the fakes because they could be scamming people thinking that
I
they're
have that
reaching out
issue
to
with
us.
Facebook.
So I just
They go into like pro se groups and it poses me, and people contact me, and I go and I complain to Facebook
oh
about it. I complain to the moderators and say this is fraud, this and that, and they're not doing anything. And like you call the police, like what do you want me to do? It comes to bitch paperwork, it's not going to happen. So it's a big issue because people are really getting hurt by this stuff.
So that's why I got the IP attorney to go to bat for me because I was trying to do it myself. And then I realized, wait a minute, I've been trademark my logos and my names, all my companies.
Oh,
So
interesting.
so then we just show it to her and she gets
Oh
it
wow, you can
taken
do that.
down.
Okay, so how much did they pay for this? But thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Well, I think she was including it as part of the service of my original
Good to know. Yeah.
work, but don't I hope she's not she's gonna charge me more. Needs to be a regular basis thing, we almost just have to have her on retainer. But I think this is like a weird thing that happens when
Yeah.
you're more out there, and I think as a added layer, as a lawyer, then you're just like, oh well, I've got to protect my image because I don't want like the number going
Mhm.
to some random person scheming, and then later on they're like, you did this, and I'm like, I didn't do that, but I didn't know because they pop up a new one all the
I
freaking
once had a
time.
person, my website is jqqlaw.com. They bought JQK Laws with an
Uh-huh.
S at the end, duplicated my entire website, and were doing business
Oh,
till someone said, "Oh, I have a contract for perm with you guys. You guys didn't do anything." I'm like, "Dude, that's not our website." And I took a while, but I was able to take that down. I had to contact Google and this and that. Domain registers is false, and it creates a lot of work. Probably hiring out is better, but it's such a nightmare because it just feels bad for people who like buy into this stuff. And nowadays, with the amount of video recording there is of us too, someone with this new technology could make like us talking to them with our same voice, even. So eventually, there's gonna have to be some sort of system for
oh yeah, I know.
identifying who the real person is.
Like offers yeah, like this is a genuine
Hmm.
person from their voice and their um yeah, I agree. It's like almost like a notary for video and
It's
voice or
probably gonna
something
be
like that. Because
Yeah.
we have it
It's
for
probably gonna be like
signature.
Bitcoin, that blockchain technology. So I have
Uh,
like my blockchain ID, but it's so sophisticated. People are still gonna like who aren't.
yeah.
I mean, we deal with international clientele who may not speak English, so it's like it's gonna be hard for them. They're still gonna get hurt by this stuff.
But, I think that this needs to be talked about more, and when I was, giving ideas for the tech summit coming up, I brought this up because people are getting scammed. There's because things are more remote now, than before, and the consumer's
Yeah.
more willing to be remote. Like, they'll call, and then someone will say, I'm this attorney," but they'll never talk to the attorney, and then it'll maybe be like a copy website or phone number or
Hmm.
something, and it'll look sort of good, and then maybe the person's saying something like, "It sounds like it's really good deal." I've been hearing about it. Actually, I need to connect some of those folks with some
Yeah.
reporters now that I think about it.
Like
Some work
people
to do
come to me and they're
today.
like, "Yeah, I emailed you at 6471 Birth Street at gmail.com." Like, why would my law firm have that as the email? It's like you gotta take the hints and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm super against having, like, at Yahoo,
Yeah.
at AOL, at Gmail, at whatever, because I'm like, if you can't figure out how to change your work email to something, like, then who's to say somebody else might just be,
Hmm.
scamming or making a
You should
copy of
all
something.
like I was talking
Yeah,
to a colleague who hadn't
I
bought
agree.
his URL for his website name. Like at least lock that in. Like own that. It's only like $50 a year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've said this to you before, but, like, I'm sort of addicted to buying domains, and, like, I, like, own, like, 25 or something right now. Like, and they freaking just are on auto pay, so, like, I need to go in and,
Yeah,
like,
I had
clean
a
the house
binge
a
of
little
that.
bit, but
I had a binge
I'm
of
all
that.
about
Then I had all these ideas and that, and then I'm like, I'm paying money. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but then sometimes you find out the domains are worth
Yeah.
something, you're like, "Yeah, okay, willing to sell."
Yeah.
It's like,
So
"Suck."
I have one last question.
But
You
definitely
mentioned you have scheduling
yeah,
on your
go ahead.
website because we do like limited types of cases. It's like people schedule on their own. We'll have to keep refunding money or something like that. What has been your experience? Because you're more full service, so it makes sense
Yeah,
that you could have it on your website. Just talk to your buddy. But how do
yeah.
you like online scheduling without just off the website?
I love the concept, and I think we're still tweaking little things, but I think the people love the fact they can just
Hmm.
take control of the situation. But this is also brings to light when we as inside the practitioners and people who speak this language, like, we talk a certain way versus like the layperson, and so we have to be careful to make sure it's easy for them to understand. So we might say like asylum or immigration court or family based, and this is also another thing. We have two different price points, one for certain cases and one for another. We also have two different amounts of
Yeah.
time. We like there's a lower price with for 30 minutes and a higher price for 1 hour, but, like, when in doubt, we're like, "This is probably an hour if we're gonna have to review documents or there's court or, more complexity." So overall, but getting to your point, like refunding or doing this, it's rarely that we have to refund because they chose the more expensive option or the more full option, and then they really needed less. It's usually the other way where they try to get in, under the more simple, less 30-minute option. And then we realized, no, they're in court, or no, this is asylum, and no, this is employment, or and so we have this other current term called exploring options. And I like that one because it's like,
Yeah.
we don't know what we're doing here. Like you don't know what you want. You don't. You just want us to sort of
Yeah.
look at the whole picture. And so we're willing to go all over the place because sometimes people say, "I just want this one thing," and then you come to
Yeah.
find out there's something way over here that they're eligible for. So they just pigeonhole you
Yeah, we have people who are
unnecessarily.
worried about one
But
thing, and some that's not even important. But I'm like, no, no, you're like missing the whole thing right here. Like a lot of times it happens with a domicile requirement of FAA support. They'll come and say like, well, I have this thing, but I'm like, you don't understand. Like, you have a domicile issue. That's you're not living here. They're gonna reject your case, or not reject they're not gonna document to qualify you.
yeah.
There's always like these other things they worries them. But I've tried that. I've different. I essentially have narrowed down our consults to just 30 minutes because we had hour and then 30 was just hard
Mhm.
for people to figure that out. And then we have two
Yeah.
price tiers. One is for marriage cases. We kind of made it cheaper to just entice people. But I'm getting closer to just merging the price, just having one. And we have an explanation on our website. We don't let them book on the website, but like just we don't do asylum, we don't do humanitarian. But it's, they get confused because
Mhm.
I'll have people who have asylum case pending, but they get married to U.S. citizen, and so it's an adjustment status case. They'll think it's an asylum case. Like, no, we
Mhm.
do that. That's not a big deal. So it's kind of like just give us the info. We'll figure out. We'll
Yeah.
email you what you need to do. But again, with the plumber example, when I was looking at, I think it was AC repair, the one that had online just quick calendar for them to come check out my house. That was the one I booked because it was so much easier. And I remember I saved their website because I'm like, this is how our website should be. But I just is with us, you can't just book us. There's it gets more complicated.
Well, and that's we just started the online scheduling like earlier this year. I had tried a few years ago, but it got really complicated. We had multiple attorneys, different
Yeah,
periods of time. We did. I think the technology wasn't really good. I mean, I know everyone's like, "There's Calendly and Acuity and everything," but like, we had to. I don't know. There was complications because
yeah.
we had an old calendar from like 2009, and I had to move things around and whatever. But anyway,
I
we
remember how much of
overcame
a
it. I'm glad
stress
we
you're
did
having
it,
this year for
and
that.
I you and I have been talking about this like on our some of our monthly calls and things like that. But one thing I will say is like it did occur to us to maybe just have one length of time and one price, just to make life simpler, but we still haven't gotten there yet. But for it's sort of like when in doubt, it's the
Yeah,
1 hour price is what we're doing. Because if we have to even think about other options, we're probably gonna do need the 1 hour. But I didn't want to just block my whole day full of 1 hours because
yeah,
what if they cancel or what if they need to move it? And I just didn't want to have too many 1 hour slots like moved around. But now I highly suggest getting to the point where you can do the online schedule. I
yeah,
think it just reduces the friction. And we were starting to realize it felt like we were getting more online scheduling than actually through
yeah.
the human phone option. And so I was like, how is that the case? But we're doing an audit right now of our systems and this whole pipeline to
Well, if
sort
I
of
call
see
your
how we
office
can
and
improve
have an
our
accent and
systems.
see if I could trip you guys over what's going on and how it goes.
But another thing that's becoming popular is the AI receptions. And I've talked to a lot of companies about wherever I'm at, and they said the technology really improved the last 4 months. And so that sounds intriguing as well. I think some of us would be a little concerned, like, what if they say the wrong thing, or what if they give legal advice or something? But a lot of the companies I've talked to are have a legal component to it and are been training them. So I think we're going to see a
Speaking of
lot more
AC
of that in the
repair,
future.
as I did earlier, so one of the companies I called, it was like after hours, and so they said AI answers it, and I actually went through and scheduled a
Uh,
time, and then next day a person called to like confirm all the information the AI, so it was like double time. Like yeah, I did fine. Like there was no reason for them to call me again, so that kind of wasted time on their end and on my end. But the call was really smooth. They just like what time you needed this and that. What is the issue? Took note, and then she called to confirm the stuff I said was correct. Which works too. I mean, at least you book him quick and then you confirm later. At least you like got the
yeah.
lead.
I mean, and maybe we're in that space right now where we're like, double checking that the AI is really doing its job and that the client feels comfortable with it. Because like, just remember a couple years ago when like Otter and Fireflies or whatever were
Yeah.
on Zoom, that was sort of weird. At first, we were sort of learning the etiquette. Now, I mean, we're learning the whole AI bot etiquette, reception. It's like things.
Yeah.
How does the
Yeah, it's
consumer
all really
feel
new.
about
I
communicating that
guess
way?
you get the first
Yeah.
mover advantage if you get this and you lock it in well. There's all sorts of prizes that come with it by doing it before other people. There's negatives too. Eventually, you might mess it up, but if you get it right, you can benefit a
Yeah.
lot.
Right. Like, on that whole Rogers innovator curve, I like to be, like, maybe not the front lines of innovation, but, like,
Hmm.
that layer right behind, so I'll let someone else, but I'm pretty up there, close to, like, experimenting. Like, we're working with, like, 4 different companies right now, sort of
Yeah,
beta
I'm always
testing and
surprised. You're
giving
like, I'm doing
feedback
this. I'm like, wait,
right
this
now,
company just like
so
started as new. Like, I'm like, what? You always saw I'm doing the emails, this and that. I'm like, I was gonna wait like another 6 months before I even think about it. But
Well, yeah, like, I mean, Candle, I met them last year, with the innovation spotlight, and we've been giving them like almost weekly feedback and working with them, and so that's exciting. And then some of the other ones that we got they're going to be at the fall tech conference. They're doing exciting. That's the thing, though. Like right now, it's like proof of concept. Like you have a proof of concept, okay, run with it. That's what's happening. Like that. That's what I realized at the ALO conference Orlando. How many years ago was that? Only 2 years ago. Like that's where we're at. Like before were the days where you had this idea and you did this and you had all this funding and you did that. And it was like perfectly polished. You even knew what your prices were. No, there's it's sort of like
yeah, pretty
build the
much.
plane and take off at the same time. That's where we are.
Well, we thanks so much for coming on the show again, and hopefully this is going to continue to be a monthly show. But if you want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can do that?
I'd say LinkedIn's really a good way. Ruby Powers on LinkedIn. And then I have the Ruby at rubypowerslaw.com email. And you can find me in the Powers Law group at rubypowerslaw.com and Power Strategy Group, consulting law practice management at Power Strategy Group. And we also have the school community SKOOL, where we have a lot of discussion. And you can find the Power Up Your Practice book on Amazon. But yeah, thanks, John. Always a pleasure. I always get really good ideas talking with you. And I know that the conference season is starting. So I will be at the ALA Tech, I will be at the ALA Fall Conference in Boston in mid September. I'm going to be at the Case Status Summit in South Carolina later in September, and also Lex Summit in Salt Lake City. Yes, Salt Lake City, and then some other stuff later on in October, November, and December. So maybe I'll see some people out there.
Yeah, I hope I come to, but take notes and to share with the audience what you learned from there.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks,
All
Ruby.
right, take care.
Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Ruby, for coming on the show. I'm so glad we're going to be doing these regularly because every time I think about office management, practice management, the firm, and how to run things, and how to do marketing, it seems like an endless thing to do, and it can get kind of daunting because as soon as you fix 5 things, you realize there's 10 other things like that were wrong. So it's like a never-ending thing. But it's almost like a big stone sculpture you're making. You just got to keep chiseling at it little by little. And before you know, you start seeing a face, and you start seeing a body, and it gets more and more beautiful. And the art really comes out in what you do. So all the stuff we're saying, some people are like, I'm not even there yet. It's okay. Just take it one piece at a time. And some people are way ahead. If you are, share the information with others. Let me know. Come on the show. But there's always so much to learn. Even people I've spoken are way ahead of me. I'll mention some things like, oh, I never thought about that. Or I'll go to their website and see one of their links doesn't work. And you'd be like, they have this big practice, volumes coming in, and the links on their website don't work. What's going on there? And they're like, oh, nobody caught that. There's just too many things to catch, and so it falls through the cracks. But just don't be paranoid or worried. It's just part of the game. It's like that for all businesses, not just for immigration law. The key is that you keep trying and you keep working on it, and things will get fixed over time. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, email me or email Ruby. Let her know. So we could do more stuff like this. Maybe do it just more often or more specific topics. We always like feedback. Please do send it. Info at Immigration Lawyers Toolbox is the email. Info at immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. If you want to learn more about us, visit our website, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Have a good one, everybody. Till next one. Bye bye. If you like this episode, follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, where we post the latest statistics, tips, and more. And stay tuned for more from the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast.